I spent part of last week reading nonprofit tax filings voluntarily for fun because I have FOMO about a conference I didn't go to. And apparently, that's what my FOMO looks like. Welcome to introversion, I guess. Not wishing I was there, but pulling the financial threads of who paid for the stage until I ended up somewhere that made me genuinely question whether the profession I've spent 17 years of my life in has ever truly been allowed or will be allowed to ask the right questions. The future of work is a phrase that gets thrown around at these conferences like it's an open question. It isn't. It's been pre answered by the people who funded the room you're sitting in, and the answer is always something they can sell you. That's what this episode is about. That and Monopoly and Yeti coolers and why HR keeps getting handed a ruler and told to measure things that don't have length and ham sandwiches. Deb and I went in with FOMO and came out with receipts. Some of them were literal. Come see what we found. So, hi everyone. I am Nicole Eisdorfer. I am an organizational development strategist, whatever the heck that means. I could be saying I'm a penguin with ostrich wings for most people, and that would have just as much meaning. I am working on building out an entire ecosystem to help leaders see the things in their organizations that are genuinely getting them stuck, that are keeping their change and their transformation from progressing. Spoiler alert, it's not that you need more pretty slides. That's enough about me. Deb?
No! Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Deb Haas. I am a former corporate refugee, or I am a refugee from corporate. I was at Accenture for 24 years in global HR. I got laid off, couldn't find a job. I was like, I guess I'll build something else. And happened across Nicole as I was attempting to make myself heard in the fathomless pit that is LinkedIn. And we somehow connected and realized that we had a lot more in common than it looks like from the surface. And here we are at Rails Optional, just displaying our brains in a way to all of y'all. And it can be entertaining at times and scary because this woman is freaking like, oh, blows my brain out.
Don't give me high expectations, Deb. Let's stick with the penguin with ostrich wings. Okay. So it's Transform Week in Vegas right now. Last week was Unleashed. There are these two like very large conferences that are sort of HR tech focused, very like future of work. Ooh, wavy gravy. Focused. And we have FOMO. We're sad. Our friends are there. We're not.
That's it.
So I went.
It's really that. It is honestly that. I don't care about the speakers, or Lord knows I don't care about the whole big room where they have like way too much shit going on where you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Although
the
last
expo
year,
where you like go to get your badge scanned so you can get the swag, but like try not to look anyone in the eye because you know you're not going to buy the thing they're selling.
exactly. exactly. And then last year it was, what were the two that had that big blow up? It was it Deal and no, maybe it wasn't Deal.
Oh,
The
Rippling and Deal, and
Rippling
they were
thing.
across the floor from each other.
They were right next to each other. It was like everyone was like, oh,
This is
oh.
what passes for drama in HR, guys. Um, so so yeah, we had some FOMO. And so I went diving down, I was thinking, because Deb went to Transform last year. I went to Unleash last year. We both left with some thoughts and some feelings. And I was like, okay, well, let's research this. What is there? And so I went down some rabbit holes. I found some fox dens. I might have ended up in the upside down for a minute. Kind of felt like it. And I learned some things, and I'm going to share them with you. And I've shared some of them with Deb already. I may or may not have made her distrust the universe. We'll see. Um and yes, Chris, the upside down. There you go. And I'm gonna start using that emoji more. I never use that upside
Yeah,
down
I never
smiley
used that
emoji,
emoji
but
either. I'm still relatively new to emojis, y'all. Up until about a couple months ago, I called them emoticons. If that gives you any indication of how old I am, yeah,
ooh.
it's pretty pathetic. Yeah, my husband still calls them emoticons, and I'm like, no, it's emojis. Call them emojis.
I think actually the like emoticons are specifically when you do it with characters, but I'm not certain of that. That's a rabbit hole for a different day. Um,
We
the
told
rails
you
are
rails were
optional, but
optional,
but
right?
we do have a topic. Okay,
Deb,
so
stay on topic. Stay on topic.
sort of, we're gonna sort of stay on topic. There may be ham sandwiches. I mentioned to Deb at least 12 times when in the green room.
I want
Okay,
so bad.
I've made everyone hungry. Okay,
Some milk and cheese on it.
all right, focus. We're focused. You go to a conference. You pay $1,500 to $3,000, or maybe you're special, and your company paid for you.
Last year, I paid it out of my 401k. Okay. My rapidly dwindling 401k, because I was starting a business and I was told that if I was starting a business, I needed to get my ass to Transform. And I was like, okay. So I paid for myself and my husband to fly there, paid for the ridiculous, like the hotel room per night was like, you're kidding me, right? Like I could rent a one. Oh, anyways, sorry.
Yeah, it's at the Wynn, in case you all didn't know. The Wynn is not known for being cheap.
No.
Okay, so you go, and the marketing for this conference, like Deb said, you have to go, right? If you're an individual professional who's starting a business, and the marketing for the conference, if you're one of those people, like you're an attendee, the practitioner facing page says that it's for people first organizations where technology meets empathy, and that acknowledging that people aren't okay is the first step towards real progress. You could not be more speaking our language,
Yeah.
right? Like it
I'm like
makes you,
expecting the world to I'm expecting earthquakes and all sorts of stuff at this thing.
yeah. And I mean, it like it's almost like you can't give your credit card fast enough because it just feels that
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 important.
that
Yeah.
important. And it's marketed sort of back channel as the antidote to SHRM, which historically, SHRM, by the way, is the Society for Human Resource Management. They've been in the news for a lot of very bad things for the last 2 years. If you haven't heard of them, lucky you. They are this is fun. So, I told you I dove down a bunch of rabbit holes. One of the things I dove down were the financials. And I discovered, and I don't know how I didn't know this because I used to work in the nonprofit world, but I thought all nonprofits were 501c3s, but they aren't. There are 501c6s, which is what SHRM is. And a 501c6 is not a like nonprofit charity or educational organization. It's a business organization. Like it's meant to help a business field grow. So the other things that are in this category are things like the NFL. Yeah. So SHRM is the same classification of business as the NFL,
What
which
the?
explains why it had $233 million in revenue on its last 990 filing. Its CEO makes over $4 million a year, and they fly their executives on chartered and first class flights
Chris,
all the
I'm sorry.
time.
I love Chris's comment. Ew.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's gross. This is the governing body of HR.
Oh
And
my
so
god.
when you have something like Transform that comes along and you're like, oh, this is the antidote to that. And they're not like having someone who has explicitly marketed themselves as the person who is pressuring organizations into getting rid of DEIB out on the main stage, right? Like it's like, oh, please give me something else.
Yeah.
So you go to Transform. This is where you follow the money. Because if you look at our page, it's like, ooh, this is glorious. Yay. Now look at the sponsor facing page for the same event. Connect with venture capital industry at large, influence strategy, meet pre-qualified leaders with active investments, and it features invite-only matchmaking sessions between sponsors and attendees with purchasing authority.
I feel a
Okay,
little slimy. Ugh.
a little bit slimy, right? But there's nothing fundamentally wrong with a conference that serves multiple audiences, and this conference happens happens to have been started by someone who is also a major advisor for a VC fund. A VC fund that happens to have invested in over 120 HR tech startups. A fund that calls what the conference does, facilitating $500 million in revenue opportunities for portfolio companies. The conference calls it community and people first transformation to us and a shiesty go-to-market strategy for them.
Ugh.
Kind of cool, right?
Like, I mean, why am I even surprised? Like, I mean, there's a part of me that's like, Deb, this is kind of the reality that you've lived in HR for however long. Is it any surprise that it's actually happening in the marketplace in the same way that it's happening within companies? I
Yeah,
mean,
but I mean, okay, we live in a capitalist society, and
we do.
however we may or may not feel about that, again, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with a conference that serves multiple audiences.
No,
That's efficiency,
yeah.
right?
I mean, that's
Putting
smart.
vendors and practitioners in the same room is efficient event design. The
Absolutely.
problem isn't that there's vendors. The problem isn't that there's money involved. The problem is that the conference markets itself around the future of work. And a phrase like the future of work should be the biggest, most contested, most consequential open question a profession can ask itself. And that the answer to that question is being answered on these stages. But these stages, right, are funded by someone. And so the question itself and the answers to the question are being defined by the people who funded the stage. So the version of people first that gets airtime is the version that has a product attached to it. And
So
we're
the
going to
future of work is whatever this VC funded HR startup, the technical startup has determined what is
yeah,
the future of work.
yeah,
They
because
know because their product answers that question.
yeah, because the future needs to be something they can sell to.
Yeah.
Okay, so the practitioner is sitting in the audience and they think they're participating in defining the future of work. They're not. They're the audience for a future that's already been scoped by the investment thesis of the people who funded the stage. Chris, essentially, what is the future of how we maintain the way we are currently working? Yeah, no, exactly that. What is the future of how we maintain the way we are currently working was what Chris put in the chat.
Yeah, because we don't want any actual innovation. Like,
Yeah.
that isn't what we want. We need it
Well,
to
no,
be
we
safe. We need to
we
make a
want
lot of money for the people who are in control or in power
we
so
want
that
innovation. We just want our innovation to look like our dashboard. So the future of work.
Wait a minute. We got to define innovation then. Like, wait a minute. What's the definition of innovation? Hold on.
Well, I mean, no, there's not a definition of innovation. The question at play here is what is the point of innovation?
Mm.
Like, what do we want to get out of innovation? If your mission for innovation is to make the lives of humanity better, you probably have a slightly different mission than if your mission is to make me the most money. I'm going to give
Thank
you,
you.
you know what? So,
Thank
Deb,
you.
I'm in the middle of this universal theory of everything sort of mission, right? Where it's not the universal theory of everything, it's the universal theory of why society is falling apart. And I'm working on this variable, and I'm in the midst of beginning to validate the math on it, which is my least favorite part of this. And now I'm questioning my life choices. Sidebar. So I'm going to use Yeti because I have one sitting right here. Yeti.
Yay!
So Yeti began their life as a founder created company, right? And Yeti started, Katie, I do not like math. I like data, which is different than math because data can create pretty dashboards. And what I really like are the pretty dashboards. But I don't like pretty dashboards that tell lies. So I didn't do very good in data analytics. That was mean. Okay. So Yeti's founders were outdoors people, and they were tired of coolers that couldn't survive the conditions that they were in.
Yep.
And so they set out to create a cooler that couldn't fail. And, you know, a mission to do a thing that can never experience a problem, right? That's one mission.
Yeah.
Another mission is to be the best in the market at something.
Yeah.
One of those missions is reaching for the ceiling. What is the best it is possible to do?
Mhm.
The other is trying to stay one step above the floor.
Mm.
And they both get to sell themselves as excellence. You as a consumer don't always know the difference between them.
Yeah.
And the reason I used Yeti is because let's flip it around so you can see the Yeti there. Is that the original Yeti had one of those ceiling missions. Yeti, like so many companies, were bought out by venture capital. And in a venture capital environment, excess quality, the fact that excess quality even exists as a term, is its own problem. But excess quality is equivalent to waste.
Wait.
So
I don't want to interrupt can you make a note to where you are right now? Because we got to talk about excess quality. Because, like, what? Like, how is that even a thing? How is it possible to have an excess of quality?
Because we have defined this is going back to that definition of the future of work, or the definition of like what the point of innovation is. If the point of innovation is to make you money, then innovating too much is waste, right? You want to innovate on a time scale so that you can maximize every single step up. If you jump too far too fast, you
want people to
wasted.
be super satisfied with our product. Heaven forbid that people actually love our product
Oh,
because it has
no, they assume you're too stupid to know the difference. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. You, the consumer, don't know what's possible, and you assume that you are being delivered the best of what's possible. And that's why Yeti coolers that used to be roto-molded, that's hard to say. I think they still have one SKU that is roto-molded. I think that's their original SKU. But after they were purchased by venture capital, began to build injection molded coolers, which are still injection molded coolers that are still better than like Coleman or all of their competitors, but they aren't failure proof. It's different mission.
But most people don't realize that. And so
No.
it's paying off on its original quality. But really anyone who's purchased a Yeti in the last couple years are getting screwed on the, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're still getting better. It's better than Hydro Flask. What's your problem, Deb? You're still getting the best product in the market.
What's my problem?
But that's what we're living in, right? Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So going back to conferences.
There's
I'm
a
the one
point
like
here.
coming back. Okay, so future of work defined by the people who are selling us their version of the future of work. I'm going to skip way the heck ahead in my prep doc, right? Because I think we've actually organically landed somewhere that is important. So this whole future of work thing, you didn't see this, but many of you probably did. The MC on stage at Transform this year was Brian Elliott. Great guy. Follow him. He puts out really good content. And most of the time I agree with at least 90% of what he says, which is good. I mean, that's more agreement than I can say for most people. So he just published about Transform, and it matched an article he published in MIT Sloan Management Review. And quick call out. That sounds like it's validated by MIT. For those of you who aren't aware, they essentially license the name of MIT. It does go through an editorial review, but it is not a scientific peer-reviewed organization. And we'll talk later about why no one in HR cares about that, and how HR got so divorced from the science behind its practices here in a little bit. But okay. So his summary. Katie, what?
What's your
agreement to Deb?
Similar story as GoRuck, heavy duty package. What's your agreement to Deb? What agreement? Oh, we just totally got disrailed. Hold on, Nicole. Keep in mind where you were. You're talking about Brian Elliott and how much you agree with that. And 90%
what's my agreement to Deb? I mean, so Deb and I actually, so on the Venn diagram of our overlapping topics, we don't have, like, we both talk about HR, but we don't have a ton of overlap. So where our topics do overlap, I tend to sit with her somewhere in the 80 to 90% realm.
Yeah.
There are some things I don't agree on because I know different science. And this is actually one of the problems with HR practice in general.
Mm-hmm.
HR is not, well, we'll get to that anyhow. So Brian Elliott, the quick summary, the TLDR of his article was basically stop running programs designed for outcomes, kill activity without impact work. He actually quoted one of the chief HR officers who was also on stage at Transform, who had said, like, look at all the things you're doing and evaluate how many of them, if they disappeared, your employees would even notice.
Yep.
Get rid of all the work.
I think that's a smart way to look at it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's experienced reality, right? Like that feeling there, right? Of what would people notice? You can't answer it with a dashboard. It's a really good question. Then we get to the 10%. And this is the advice that I see. I've seen in every conference. I see it consistently in every like major HR publication, and it makes my brain scream every time I see it. Tie people outcomes to business metrics with the same rigor as finance. That sounds like rigor. That sounds like we make data-driven decisions that we all remember having to implement like 5 years ago. I'm sorry. I'm going to be the person who says it does not work.
People are not numbers on a spreadsheet.
Well, yes, and that's the pushback HR always gives, right? But let's use technical terms and science to show why.
Okay.
All right. So there is a property of the numbers that finance uses that matters. The name of that property is commensurability. Commensurability means that one unit of the thing equals one other unit of the thing. They are all the exact same. Yep. $1 is $1. You can use $1 towards a ham sandwich. You can use $1 towards a shovel. Same dollar.
I want the
$1 of revenue is the same, whether it comes from a hammer or a ham sandwich or a software program. Those dollars are all the exact same on an income statement. They fit on a spreadsheet. You can add them, you can compare them, you can move them between categories. Every single thing reduces to the same unit, and the unit means the same thing everywhere it shows up.
Yep.
People don't hammer sandwich.
Hammer sandwich.
People don't work like that.
No.
You cannot say, I want to measure what it takes to create a unit of productivity.
Consultants at level 8 who both have this education and both have you can supposedly equate those two. But can you really?
So like one person doesn't equal one person, but even like the outputs from one person don't equal, right? So it's like, so one unit of trust between a manager and employee who have known each other and worked together for 6 years is not the same as one unit of trust who met each other from two people who met each other last week and are on a cross-functional team.
Exactly.
Those aren't the same. You can't add them, you can't swap them, you can't put them in the same spreadsheet and have the total mean anything at all.
Nope.
And forgetting about the fact that one unit of trust doesn't equal one unit of trust, you certainly can't add 3 units of trust and 2 units of experience and 4 units of intuition and equal 5 units of productivity.
But we can try.
No, no, we can say we can do it
Yes.
with science, with pretty numbers. We
Yep.
can use. Oh Lord, we'll back up to this in a minute. We can say we can do it with pretty numbers. We can sell the dashboard. We can sell the software that does the calculation. We can call it the future of work. We can put a CHRO on stage who says this worked at my company, right? Here's the problem. These this is the thing. We have asked HR to take this thing that they know. We know this at a fundamental level, that what matters most about people is not commensurable. We may not have had the words for it, but we know it. We've been yelling it into the void for years, right? We know that the work that matters is the person who says, I noticed you're struggling.
Mm-hmm.
We know that the moment you put a number on that people begin to optimize for the number instead of the thing.
Not for the human.
And the thing dies.
And the thing dies. You might not know that it's dead. It's sitting at its desk. It's showing up on the Zoom calls, but it's dead.
Yeah. And so we're doing that, right? So how did we get here? So we know that HR is a field that focuses on the way people work at work, right?
Yep.
And we know that there is a science about the way people work at work.
Mm-hmm.
It's commonly called industrial organizational psychology. I've also seen it called organizational behavior, organizational development claims some of that same realm. These are the sort of science-based things. HR people don't tend to go to IO conferences.
Nope.
HR people typically can't tell you the name of a single IO journal.
Nope.
IO people all the time come and dip their toes into HR waters and say, dear God, you people are not even operating in reality. I can't do this. They burn out and they leave. Yes, Chris, I am saying we need to look at social stewardship instead of human resources. I love that we tried to rebrand ourselves as people.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So practitioners don't have the training to evaluate any of these things. They don't have the ability to look at these stages and even see that this research might be just a smidge shisty, right? Because certification and education don't include that. The certification landscape is controlled by HRCI and SHRM. HRCI originally operated as essentially an arm of SHRM. 2014, they had a really nasty divorce.
Thank heavens. Well, somewhat.
Well, no. You know why they split up? This is the funny part. So, public story is that HRCI focused too much on knowledge and not enough on competency. Cool beans. Love that for them. Then SHRM created its own pathway to certification. And they do. And I'm going to be fair to them for a moment. Their test does have some of these situational judgment items. It's about 40% SJI. The common test prep advice is literally, what would SHRM do? Because the way the answer is, it's multiple choice, and the best answer is determined by a SHRM selected panel. If it were truly a competency exam, it would run similar to the way the Step 2 exams run in your medical certification exams. When you're a physician, you take the same stupid multiple choice test that everybody takes for every single freaking thing in our life.
Yep.
Great. But you also go and they call them oral exams. And so you are given a case. And you do not know everything about the case. It is not like a case study where you are given
Yep.
every pertinent piece of information.
Yep.
You have to decide what kind of tests you're going to ask for. You have to like build out your entire differential
Well,
diagnosis.
you get an idea of how you're thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
And thinking about how
Yeah.
would you solve this problem. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're actually evaluating your competency at solving the problem.
Yep.
Medicine is life or death, right? And the argument is that that HR doesn't need that because HR's scope of practice is not life and death, which is funny because there are a crap ton of research articles out there that have found that your experience at work is directly tied to multiple health outcomes. Bye, Chris. We
Thanks for hanging
know,
with us, Chris.
we know that people who have negative experiences at work, people who have a bad manager are like 80% more likely to have a heart attack or something bonkers like that.
Yep.
Right? So why do we define HR scope so small?
Because that's the cheapest way to do it. Or I mean, that's the way that serves the company and their ends of making money at the cost of human labor. I mean, that's the reason why. I mean, they are designed for one purpose, which is to profit the people who invest in them and to extract the work from humans and give them a little bit back so that they can actually keep living and keep buying things that then help the other like that's why.
Yeah, because they don't want you to question, like they want your scope to stay, how do I get people to do the things the business has identified that we should do?
Yep.
They do not want your scope to include what does the things we do to the humans inside our organization.
Yep.
So imagine you're an HR person at Meta. You're certified. Your business goal is engagement of your employees, right? You want employees who like are engaged, are bringing great ideas. That's your goal. The goal of the business itself, because Meta sells ads. That's really what they do, right? They used to say that their goal was connecting the people of the world, but they sell ads. We all know they sell ads. So more users, more time on platform, more ad revenue. You make sure that the people piece serves that because that's your job as an HR person at Meta. You're an excellent, aligned HR professional. So good at your job. So good. And you have engineers who are in your purview and they're building an algorithm. And the internal research that those engineers are conducting shows that your algorithm is harming teenage girls. Their performance reviews are tied to making it more effective. And remember, effective is defined as ad revenue, not as...
I'm going to need a shower after this, Nicole. I'm going to need a shower. This is so gross.
So as an HR person, obviously it's outside of your scope of practice. I mean, like really, it is in fact outside of your scope of practice to be the one who says, our product is harmful to the world, not your lane. But what is in your lane is what the work does to the people doing the work. You have the turnover data. You have the engagement data. You have the exit interviews. You have the disability and leave trends. You own the early warning system for when a business strategy is grinding people down.
Yep.
But the certification trained you to read that data as a people problem. We have a retention issue. Let's fix our onboarding, not to follow it upstream to the strategy causing it. Wells Fargo is one of my favorite ones to pick on. I freaking hate Wells Fargo. HR doesn't have to flag fake accounts are unethical. HR needs to flag our people are showing extreme distress and the common variable is the quota structure. That's the HR data. That's their lane. Their body of knowledge doesn't train them to follow it upstream, doesn't reward them for following it upstream. The outcomes of bad work are life and death, clinical anxiety, partial hospitalization, suicidal ideation. But within HR's scope of practice, within what HR has the functional power to change, those outcomes have been defined as out of scope for us. The scope itself protects the business strategy from HR scrutiny.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my
The
God.
certification teaches us to see the box that we're operating in. It doesn't teach us to question the person who drew it.
Yeah. Oh. This is just, oh my God, this explains so much. Like it explains why so many C-suites don't want HR in there and why they don't give us any, because they know that we can, well, those of us who are trained to do it, but like I'm not trained in it. Nicole, we already know this. I have not been trained with the, however, I can look at what some of the things that they're doing and know, like at a gut level, there's something up with this. There's something wrong with what we're doing. But I'm not going to be given the power to say it. Or if I do say it, I'm going to be labeled as the person who's a problem, who isn't working with the company, and I won't have a job for much longer. Right.
Yeah, that seat at the table is gone because
It's
Deb, you're not
gone.
strategic.
Exactly. I'm not strategic.
So,
It's so
I mean, this is the thing. Like your certification trained you. I mean, like even the way they define strategic thinking is all around how you use people processes to support the strategy the business has created. There is nothing in there about questioning. You are taught to align. Your recertification pipeline is funded by vendors who benefit when you stay inside that alignment, vendors who benefit when you swallow hook, line, and sinker the idea that people work can be reduced to commensurable units.
Oh.
Because you can't build a dashboard on non-commensurable units.
Yep.
Right? It's an entire ecosystem that is built on the idea that the only outcome that matters is money.
Mm.
And I'm going to use, so I'm, you know, we're doing this, for those of you who don't know, Deb and I are both taking a course on how to build courses right now.
Yep.
And part of our homework for this week has been thinking of different activities. And one of the challenges that I have is what I am teaching people to do is how to see the edges of their own framework, how to understand where they have stopped seeing something as a choice that is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's right, Katie. They say the people who can't handle the job if they quit, that people can't handle, they say that the people are the problem if they can't handle the job because they quit because of the working conditions.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have another friend who is literally being harassed by their manager right now. And their manager has done multiple illegal things. And the legal environment is so difficult to navigate and expensive and time consuming and resource draining that their choices are functionally to put up with it or to leave and know that they may never ever get paid back what they deserve and what they're owed.
Yep.
It's very sad.
Not to mention that person staying in that position and doing the same thing to other people, like the harm that is going to continue in that corporation as long as that person is in that position of power. Like we're not even talking about that. We're not even talking about what kind of
the downstream impacts and how disgusting it is.
Yeah. Well, let's not even talk about that one.
Yeah. I mean, you know, this is like, okay, I'm going to finish the statement I was saying before, and then I'm going to tell you about the activity.
Cool.
All right. So certification trained you to align instead of question. Recertification pipeline is funded by vendors who benefit from you staying inside the alignment. Conference stages are organized by investors who need the field to generate customers.
Yep.
Columns in management magazines published during the conference by conference stage speakers who quote other people who are on stage at the conference tell you the next evolution is to adopt finance's way of knowing, not just its goals, its epistemology. And that's that word I keep coming back to over and over and over again. Epistemology is the science of truth. Like, how do you know what you know? Measure like finance, quantify like finance, Prove your value in their language. Finance owns the win condition. Now,
no.
oh no. But so okay, right. But now I'm gonna walk you through the activity.
Okay.
This is gonna show up in some iteration in one of my workshops.
Okay.
So my idea is that I'm going to talk. You ever play Monopoly, Deb?
Oh hell yeah! I was
Right?
crap
Everyone's
at it
played
too.
Monopoly.
I'm horrible at Monopoly.
Do you have house rules? Like, do you have like where you get the money if you land on free parking?
I think so. I think we try to follow the rules that are on there, but then it usually ends up morphing depending on who's playing. Like if it's kids that are playing, then you will change things that will help them win and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, or there's also like, I mean, there's really common house rules. One of them, like, so one of the rules that's in the rule book for Monopoly that a lot of people ignore is if you land on a property and you don't buy the property goes up for auction. Fun fact, I
Oh,
played Monopoly for decades of my life, and I never knew about that rule until I played it on Nintendo. And I was like, what the heck is this auction thing? Where did this come from? Another common house rule is that you put $500 on free parking, and all of the money that you have to pay for like income taxes or any like negative community chest cards, any of that like goes on free parking. And if you land on free parking, you get that money.
yeah.
So like those are common house rules. So my idea is to have people create more house rules for Monopoly
Oh,
to, make it a more interesting game. Like what would you do to make Monopoly work better for you? Because we've all been in this moment where we're stuck, right? You're like, there's like three people no one has a monopoly. No one's clearly a winner. Nobody wants to give up their property because they know it's going to help somebody else and they're not sure they're going to be protected. And so you're in this sort of stalemate. And then inevitably you have the person who's like, just freaking make it over. I can't anymore with this. Deb, are you still there? Okay. Yeah.
I am. It's just I wasn't moving my computer stuff enough. There we go.
Okay.
You have
So
me so engaged, Nicole.
it just blurred you out for a minute. That's why I was worried. So you have the person who is like, I don't care. I don't care about winning. I just want this game to be freaking over.
Yep.
And so they cave and they make the trade. And at that point, they are no longer playing to win. They're just playing to be done.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
What I suspect, and I suspect this because I've never, ever, ever seen a house rule that changes this, is that people will create all sorts of rules, but they won't change the win condition, because the win condition in Monopoly is that you have all the money and no one else does.
Yeah.
That's how you win
Not
Monopoly.
even having the most properties or anything. It's you have the most money and you win.
Yeah. Well, no. You have all the money.
Yep.
And everyone else is out.
Oh,
that's how you win Monopoly.
Oh, I've never actually gotten that far.
Because it's a boring game, right? Well, and it's a roll and move. Like it's a fairly simplistic game. And so there's a rumor, and it's unclear how true this is. Snopes is not sure. There's a book written about it. It was really interesting, and that's how I found out about it. But Snopes has some like disqualifying things about it. No one really knows. But there's a rumor that when the game was originally designed by the lady who designed it, whose name I don't remember because I don't remember my own sister's name some days, it was designed with two different win conditions. And the winner take all, like kick everybody out win condition is actually designed to be miserable, because it is designed to show you how bad monopolistic behavior is.
Oh.
Right? And there's a different win condition that relies on cooperation and like building the community. And I keep coming back to this Monopoly idea with the commensurable units. Monopoly is, yes, it was originally called the landlord game, Katie.
Yeah.
Monopoly, if you just look at it purely by rent, purely by money, Baltic is the crappiest. Park Place is the best, or Boardwalk. I never remember which one comes first. I think Park Place is it.
I think it's Park Place. I'm pretty sure.
But that's only if you define by rent. But real life doesn't work like Monopoly. And in real life, if Baltic has the neighbors who pick up your kids from school if you're running late coming home from work, and the neighbors who bring you chicken soup when you're not feeling well, and the neighbors who like swipe off your sidewalk whenever it snows and you're stuck inside for whatever
Go
reason or
ahead
you're working a late
and
shift.
clear off your pathway, clear
Yeah.
off your walkway for you,
Or
clear
or
off
it
your
has
driveway for you. Yeah.
or it has the nice big park. Or I
Yeah.
mean it has like, like the other things, the community,
Mhm.
right? Not just the rent. And
Mhm.
Park Place has the neighbors who report you for leaving your trash bins out for 12 years or 12 years, goodness gracious, for 12 hours too long, or the neighbors who like steal your packages, or um I don't
The
know,
neighbors who
like
don't hold the door open for you.
yeah, like if you only care about money,
Yep.
you miss out on everything else that makes a community, or that makes a property valuable or not valuable.
It's only one tiny unit of measure,
Yeah.
but we've
And it's one win condition,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, if you were making a house rule to make Monopoly a better game, wouldn't it be cool if you got points like, what if it was cooperative, like
Mm,
Pandemic, where if anybody ran out of money, you all lost the game,
yeah. Oh, oh, ooh, I like that.
right? What if you gradually raised the value of Baltic and Connecticut and, like, the things on that left side of the board by investing in the railroads. Like, what if buying all 4 railroads connected all 4 sides of town, and now it evened out the rents on that side, and the
Mm,
people who invested early on that side now have an advantage. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways you could do this, right?
yeah.
And but the key thing there is, like, when you think about it, like, no one thinks about changing the win condition. The win condition is accepted as the way things have to be.
Yeah.
Right? You have to make money and get rid of everybody else.
Mm,
That's the way it works.
yeah.
And too often in business, which is a complicated, complex system,
Yep.
we reduce everything down to rent.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep. That's the only measure. That's the only unit that
Yeah.
measures, or that the only unit that matters, essentially.
Well, and HR is, I mean, this is why I said that our theme song is going to be relevant here. HR is so desperate for that seat at the table
Yeah.
that they're willing to accept this framing. And I cannot wait for the day that our function grows a spine,
Mm,
because, like, we're right
we
and they are
are.
wrong.
We are. Humans freaking matter. God damn
Well,
it.
it's not only that, but, like, it turns out, so are you familiar with the happiness research that finds, I mean, pretty consistently across, like, nearly every
I
research
just
study that's ever been
actually
done?
did a little graphic on it just recently. I
Yeah.
didn't read it
So
fully.
like, so for those of you who aren't familiar, happiness research has historically found that if you try to optimize for happiness, you're less happy. You have to attain happiness through other things like meaning and purpose and connection and,
Mhm.
like, the things that make life good make you happy.
Yep.
But trying to be happy doesn't make you happy.
Yep.
It turns out that's also true of profit maximization. If you set up your entire organization to maximize profit, you're actually not profitable long term.
Nope.
And this is not just me hating money. I don't hate money, guys. I like money. I have, like,
I like
very
mine.
expensive Lego behind me.
Yeah.
But it's there's when Citibank bought Travelers Insurance. Travelers Insurance had, like, a really fantastic, very customer focused base. And as soon as they began to change their ways of working so that they could cross sell products and, like, be part of this, like, one stop giant shopping mall of financial products, and optimize for profit instead of optimizing for customer experience, they began to lose their customers. They began to be less profitable. Like, it's just it's kind of crazy that when you try to be profitable, you fail at it. The Container Store is another one of my favorite examples of this, right? Like, they, for years and years and years and years and years, their entire idea was that business is not a zero sum game. Somebody doesn't have to lose for you to win. And they were employee first, not customer first, not owner first. They were employee first, and they thrived. They really good in that model. Kip Tindall, in his IPO, his initial filing with the SEC, specifically called out the danger of shareholder primacy. Milton Friedman's published in 1970 in like the New York Times, maybe, or it was maybe the New Yorker. I don't know. It was an essay, and somehow it has come to run the world. If I could be famous for anything at all in the whole wide world, it would be like the thing I want to do is I want to take down that man's ideas before I die.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
but
I don't even
I mean,
know who
like
the guy is, but the fact that you bring him up frequently shows me how crappy the man is.
Yeah, Milton Friedman is one of the people who makes me actually hope there is a hell. So which sounds really, really like mean, but I think he's earned it. I mean, he himself actually towards the end of his life acknowledged that some of these things weren't good. Jack Welch, he's another one that sits on my list. Destroyed GE, acknowledged that he destroyed GE, has said out loud in front of other people that his ideas were terrible and destroyed GE. Does anyone believe it? Does anyone listen? No. It's fun to be selfish.
They still follow it. They still
I know, it makes me crazy.
Don't question it.
Well, it goes back to this whole efficiency thing, right? Like where we went with Yeti. How do you define value? How do you define efficiency? How do you define waste? And this is why I keep saying we have to teach philosophy, because the definitions of things are how you figure out the truth of things. The way you define things is the way you define truth. The way you define things is the way you define the win condition of the game you're playing.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Let's get the definitions straight and clear in everyone's minds, because they aren't. They absolutely aren't. HR is running off a completely different definition and not realizing that we're not, or not making it okay that we're not, or changing things to fit.
Yeah. What's the future of work? The future of work is whatever the vendors tell us they're going to provide us.
Yeah, that's really it. That is really it. And I know I will open up a can of worms or a plate of spaghetti or something.
You've got 9 minutes for a can of worms.
Cool. This is why I've been saying since the beginning, I don't care about the future of work. The future of work is focused completely on businesses. They're going to take care of themselves. They always do. I'm concerned about the future of employment. That's what I'm most concerned about. I'm most concerned about the human beings that are getting hit by what these companies are doing, laying people off in swaths, blaming it on AI, when it's really, they're really crappy planning and lack of strategy, which we all know it's completely lack of strategy, because they're looking at everything on a quarterly basis rather than thinking, I wonder if our company will still be around in 3 to 4 years if we keep operating this way. I don't know.
Well, there you go, Deb. There's your definition of a success problem, right? Like, what's your definition of profitable? Profitable on what timeline?
Exactly. And to
profitable
me,
for whom?
The companies that are the ones who are actually going, you know what, maybe extracting all this value from humans and giving them nothing back isn't actually going to be helpful in the long run. Maybe we're going to find that people don't have money to actually purchase the products that actually keep this, what we have running, this game house of mirrors and crappiness that is the, capitalist system, and think maybe we need to think long term. Like, who's going to, like, we see now that people who are Gen Z or Gen A, I don't know if they're in the workforce yet, have no interest in being managers, because they see what it's like to be a manager in a corporation now. It's like, why would anyone want to do that? And we're seeing that, unlike my generation, where it was like, you just do what the company tells you to do so that you have enough money, and then they'll take care of you. And then, when you retire, because that was like the golden thing, like, oh, retirement is where you want to go. And I'm looking at that going, what the hell? Why would retirement be the golden age for me? I mean, I don't get, like, this makes no sense at all. Like, none of it makes any sense.
So Katie just threw in the chat, I'm millennial and don't want to manage. And that's what you missed, Deb, is it wasn't Gen Z said it out loud. But millennials were the first ones who started pushing back on this. And I don't think, and I'm just going to like caveat this, elder millennial, late X, depending on how you define it, whose like years you go by. I was born in 1980, like right there in that like weird cusp micro gen. And I don't think we get enough credit for being the cycle breakers.
Don't. Millennials
Because
don't.
we
Millennials
like
can't.
looked around at this and said, "Hey,
Oh,
this is a problem and I don't want my kids to do this."
and can I just say, as a Gen Xer, I never blamed the millennials. The boomers are blaming the millennials because it's so
Boomers blame
wildly
everyone.
different from everything that they. I'm just totally slapping that on the boomers. That's not fair because it's not every. Anytime we generalize any of these generational things, it's like, "Rah, rah." But I will say that um what you were saying around the disparation, is that even a word? Did I just make up a word?
I think you
Disparation?
did, but I need to hear the rest of the sentence to know.
Like the disparate way of what you're saying of how things are being displayed or how things are being portrayed for the majority of us and how they really are is most people don't see it. Like most people are not aware that this is because as soon as you told me about the whole idea behind these conferences and that we're getting two separate messages and that the reality is that the future that we're seeing is the future created by tech companies. I mean, that's
Yeah.
basically the future of work is being defined by tech companies. And then there's another part of me that's like, that's kind of wacky. Like, why would technology corporations be defining what the future is unless we're all machines and we have no more human? Like,
Well, I mean, theoretically, technology is here to
yeah,
make our lives better and easier and more efficient and more effective. But the problem is no one has stopped to define any of those words.
yeah,
And so, like, what do you mean by efficient? And is efficient crappier? Because I would rather have a nicer Yeti.
yeah, yeah.
And like,
So, yeah. So
does efficient
what
mean
is
that everything is going to be going towards one step above the floor instead of reaching for the stars? Like, are we done reaching for the stars because that's inefficient and waste?
I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Like, if efficient, because I mean, everything I'm reading now is saying, everything's focused on productivity, which that's another thing. Productivity, it's like, give me a definition of productivity because that's going to
Oh,
alter
oh, this
constantly.
this is a fun one for you, Deb. So I have a friend, Fire Crow Silver Knight, who like does this really fantastic. It's called Mondays on Tuesdays, and I love his little podcast. And one of the things that he talks about all the time is how agile was essentially a way to deal with the fact that when you are developing software, you have this like long time where people are working, but
Mhm.
that productivity doesn't show up on the spreadsheet.
No, you can't. There's no numbers to quantify it.
Yeah.
There's no
So
numbers to
so if you
quantify
are delivering little chunks and pieces of things instead of delivering a complete product,
it.
which is what, agile does, you
Yeah,
get this way of like grabbing the value out of the productivity more
yeah,
frequently.
yeah,
But it's created crappier software. I mean, it's created software that we all have to subscribe to instead of owning. It ruined one of my favorite video games. Like I love The Sims.
yeah.
I've played it from the day it came out. I bought that at Best Buy in 2000, the day it came out, and I sat in my little job in the freshman dorm at the desk, like telling people where things were if they came to ask or if they came to pick up a package. Like that was my job. So the rest of the time I was just sitting there playing The Sims. Loved that game.
Yeah.
Loved The Sims 2. Like amazing ecosystem. I didn't really like The Sims 3. The Sims 4 I got into, but the game was always broken.
Yeah.
They never gave you a full freaking game.
Yeah.
If you just they eventually gave the base game away for free because it wasn't a full game. You needed the expansion packs and the stuff packs and the game packs. I mean, there are 3 different kinds of packs.
Yeah.
If you pay for that entire game, if you buy all of the pack, you spend over $1,000 on that software and it doesn't work. Their most recent, oh, maybe it's 3 ago. They released like 5 of them back to back. But one of their more recent expansion packs broke all of the portraits. So all these pictures people had taken of like they do all these generational challenges. It has a huge, like super involved community. Every picture
Oh,
people have took,
I
all
would
wiped
be
clean,
so
gone.
pissed off.
Livid, right?
Oh my god, I would be pissed
So
off.
the one that got me the end of playing it for me was when they did the high school years expansion and it shipped with a glitch because they always ship with a glitch. And the glitch killed off my entire neighborhood of people. Like everybody aged up on the same day at the same time, and so everyone who was an elder just died. And like it broke my game. And so I just stopped playing, and I've
Well,
never gone back to it.
so is this so and I'm trying to make a connection here if there is one or not around the way companies are operating now, the way that they're operating from the zero sum financial, like finance is the most important thing that they're not, and that it's impossible to measure human input or human productivity
Mhm.
based on a financial spreadsheet. Like,
Yeah, so what they do is they measure productivity based on income, right? And so if you can make the income more frequent, then you make the productivity look better. And this is the one that gets me. And this is the one that I will say over and over and over and over and over again. If you as a company, if any one of your C-suite people can spit off the top of their head the lifetime customer value that you get from a customer, but you cannot say the value you deliver to a customer, you have told me everything I need to know about your company.
wait. Can you say that again? Can you say that again? I need to hear that again.
If, as an organization, any one of your execs can tell me lifetime customer value, the metric of what you as a company extract from a customer over their lifetime, but you cannot tell me a commensurate number of what you deliver in value to that customer. You have told me every single thing I need to know about your company. I don't care what you say you value. I don't care what you say your mission is. It's all extraction.
And I think that's a great thing to end on.
Okay, y'all. One of the really fun things about doing this live is that oftentimes we'll have some really kind of cool things either at the beginning or at the end after we're done recording the video. And there were a couple of things that came up in the like almost 20 minutes that we were hanging out afterwards that I wanted to include. So we said we were done, but here's a couple more clips. And this gives you a preview of the kinds of things you miss out on if you don't come live.
Has a money value associated with it. Like there is a
Yeah. Well, I mean,
value.
that's the win condition we've all accepted, like, right? That like
That's yes,
it's
that's true.
money
We've all
without.
accepted. Like we don't talk about, someone's satisfaction in their job, feel like they're contributing something or that they're making a difference for other human beings. Like that has no value.
Yeah,
That
because
has no value.
it's not just money value, but it's short-term money value,
Yeah.
right? Because we could do some fancy math. It would still be shisty, but we could do some math to start to connect some of these human things to math outcomes, to financial outcomes. It's
Yeah.
there, it's been
Yeah.
done. It's been vaguely validated. I would question some of the science, but it's been done.
Yeah.
But there's no it's not you don't make Deb happy today and see $30 tomorrow.
Nope.
That's not how it works.
Nope.
And the time frame of it and the intervening confounding variables. Well, and that's part of the reason that HR and IO aren't more connected, because the science shows complicated answers,
Oh.
and complicated answers don't translate well to dashboards. And the science teaches you to look at the software and these dashboards and to question the underlying assumptions and to look for the bias and to ask. I don't even know if we covered this in the episode or not. I may end up pasting it back in. But if we look at 10 successful CEOs and we say, wow, 8 out of 10 of these successful CHROs or HR CEOs or whoever they are eat ham sandwiches. So ham sandwiches make you successful. And we don't look at the people who weren't successful and see if they also eat ham sandwiches. Right? Do ham sandwiches cause success, or are ham sandwiches just an incidental variable and they have nothing to do with success or not? Like,
And
correlation does not equal causation.
We're creating entire ways of dealing with human beings in our organizations based on ham sandwiches.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
and there's a whole ecosystem, right? Like, so Gartner sees that of their top clients who are performing the best, they all eat ham sandwiches. And so they create a report that says ham sandwiches are a best practice. And everyone should have ham sandwiches at their lunches because ham sandwiches make you better at your job.
And I'm
And
laughing because it's a ridiculous thing, but it's so like I'm seeing so many times where ham sandwiches really meant, performance, whatever, and
9
was
boxes.
used. Like, yes.
And I cannot say, listen, Gartner employs a ton of PhDs who are trained to do good research. I do not know that Gartner does not look at unsuccessful cases and say, okay, great, they don't eat ham sandwiches. I'm safe saying this.
Yeah.
What I know is that Gartner has made very, very public the methodology behind the way they rank tech solutions. Like that Magic Quadrant, that methodology is very public, very, very transparent, very available. The methodology behind the way they designate best practices. Best practices. I'm gonna get in trouble. This is HR, Deb. The methodology behind the way they designate that is not transparent. It is not publicly available. It can't be assessed. And as we mentioned, most HR people don't have the scientific chops to evaluate it anyways.
They told us to prove our worth, count the hearts like profit and loss, but some things you can't fit into cells, and that's what